what you are about to hear is highly classified. Pay attention and listen at all times. And most importantly, remember, if you deface a Russian statue to look like an American superhero, they're probably not going to be too happy about it. But it makes for some great podcast conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, you are now entering Zone 4.
And welcome back to The Zone. I'm Brant Fowler.
I'm John Wilson.
I am Groot.
And I'm Captain Ron Fortier, the Star-Lord. Hey, welcome to Zone 4, episode 283. Moving quicker and quicker and quicker to that big old 300 episode. Wow.
Yeah, definitely. It's we keep talking about this. It keeps getting closer and closer, but it's still crazy to me. Just a tiny little aside. John and I were talking about Tumblr yesterday, and we were the topic of the Zone 4 Tumblr came up, and we were like, we haven't posted on that thing in a while, and we noticed it was like the 3-year anniversary when we posted on there. But it turned out to be the 3-year anniversary of our Tumblr page, not actual Zone 4. So
Yeah.
we were like, oh, okay, that wasn't that long ago. But too funny, yeah.
I mean,
it's only slightly neglected.
Yeah.
There's just too many of these things out there, you know what I mean? It's like you lose track of them. I mean, it took me the longest time to even get on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And once I got used to that, then, Tumblr comes out, Instagram comes out, tweeting comes out, and I'm like, okay, enough. You would spend your life doing nothing else but this, So
I am notorious for getting on social media when everybody starts to get off of that particular platform.
Hey, I just want to bring this up before we get too far into the show, but you got a little notice under the our introduction opening here about whose birthday this is.
Yes.
So why don't you take that away, Frank?
Yeah, absolutely. Today, as this episode goes live, August 22nd, would have been George Harriman's birthday. And John, I know you know a little bit more about him than I do, right?
A little tiny bit more. I mean, he was a little bit before my time, but
sure. 18.
Well, I knew him when he was a little tight.
Yeah.
I was about to say, he and Ron went to school together, but anybody of a certain age, probably a certain golden age, will know of Crazy Cat and Ignatz.
Yeah, the comic strips.
Yeah, the comic strip from way back in the
early 19th.
The crazy. It's the early, the very early part of the 20th century.
Right.
It was 1919.
100 years ago, everyone. Just
100
to keep it
almost 100 years ago.
Yeah, it's almost 100 years ago. Actually, the book that kind of made us look back at this, Fantagraphics, it's putting out a Crazy and Ignatz from 1919 to 1921.
Wow.
So a big. It's a 176-page book, one of the big coffee table-sized books. And it reprints every single one of the Crazy Cat strips that George Harriman did for close to 3 decades.
Yeah, and one of the things to bring out, when I saw his name, it's just one of those things that just fortunate enough, I immediately, connected it with Crazy Cat.
Yeah.
And over the years, being into in the comic field like we all are, over the years I've heard and learned different things about Harriman. But one of the coolest things about him, which again crosses all media, was Crazy Cat was one of the very, very first animated cartoons taken from the strip and brought to another medium. And I've seen reproductions of some of those really, really early Crazy Cat cartoons, and they're a riot. You could tell, you can get a sense of the strip by seeing the cartoons themselves. They predate Popeye and everybody else who was popular at the time in the strips. And I believe was one of the first, if not the first, to make it into other mediums.
I think it was really close to the first. And a lot of it has to do with Crazy Cat being somewhat simple to animate. I mean, he's mostly black body with a white face, so they always portrayed him with this really high, squeaky voice. Was really cute, and it's just one of those things that got ingrained into pop culture in a big way. I mean, for a time there, pretty much every kitchen in America had a Crazy Cat clock with the
knew you were going to say that,
with
right,
the little tail going back and forth. Yeah.
Oh, is that what that is? Okay.
That's what that is. That's Crazy Cat.
Uh-huh. I know we had one in my house growing up. So, just kind of as, Kevin Smith puts it when they talk about people who have died, big bucket of wind, just one of those guys that with something relatively simple made a huge impact on the, essence of pop culture.
Yep. Amen. And so there you go, loyal listeners, a little bit more history of graphics and pulp culture in America, thanks to Zone 4.
And actually, there's one other thing I wanted to mention, apropos of nothing with George Harriman at all, but kind of apropos to what we are doing now.
Okay.
Which is announcing and radio and things like that. I don't know if you guys caught this news earlier in the week or not, but Don Pardo died.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, now if you don't know the name, he was the announcer for Saturday Night Live from the very beginning up until maybe about 10 years ago, give or take.
Right.
It was really in the early years of the show, he did a lot more, but most people will know his voice pretty much as live from New York, it's Saturday night, and then he'd name all the people on the cast and and whoever the host and musical guest was at that time.
Or his career.
Oh, he goes way back though, yeah.
Way back to the starts of television.
Of TV, yeah.
Yeah, and he worked for many of the more popular game shows that even our parents would remember. Okay.
Yeah, I know he did Jeopardy way back when it was. Oh God, I can't remember his name, but he was a guy with glasses.
Art Fleming.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
Yeah,
And
way back in the day.
He did Jeopardy,
And
he did The Price is Right. I mean, I can always remember. What was his name now?
Bill Goodson. The
Price is Right. The original host.
Yeah.
Oh.
what, Bill Cullen? No.
Oh no. Oh
No.
God.
Because it wasn't Bob Barker.
Bob Barker
No.
was 70s.
Was it
Right.
Dennis
Later.
James?
But the point is, on The Price is Right, and Barker and all of them took it up because he was the voice of that show. And I can always remember, tell them, Don Pardo, what they've won. And his booming voice would come in. And that was always the tagline. Tell our contestants, Don Pardo, what they have won, And his voice was amazing. And so, I mean, even Valerie, the day we saw this online, what was he using? 90s, right?
Oh yeah, he was in his. He was 95, 96.
Yeah. So you lived.
He was up there. Yeah, he lived a long life.
Long, productive life. And so I walked into the kitchen and I says, this is a little sad news. I said, Don Pardo passed away. And my wife turned around and she goes, you mean the guy who used to announce all the gifts from the quiz shows and everything? And she totally got it, She goes, that was one of the greatest voices in television. It was just so absolutely unique,
And it was Bill Cullen, by the way.
Bill Cullen. Okay.
Yep. Okay, there you go.
Yeah. I think
I thought it might have been somebody else because I know there was a host and then another host and then Bob Barker and then not Dana Carvey, Drew Carey.
Drew Carey, yeah. I think for my generation, other than Saturday Night Live, he was featured in the Weird Al Yankovic song "I Lost on Jeopardy."
Yes.
There's that one line in "Tell him Don Pardo" or "Tell us Don Pardo what I didn't win."
Tell him what they lost, Don Pardo.
Yeah, tell him what I didn't win. And then Don Pardo comes on and does it with me.
It's amazing. It's just bloody amazing that, I guess, and maybe that's telling for voice actors as opposed to, people who are in front of the camera.
Yeah.
But God, 90, 95, 96 years old, and that voice never lost its timbre. It was still
it was
that
always the same.
booming voice, It was just so loud and vibrant, Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was looking online, there's a lot of stuff where they inducted him into the TV Archive Association. There's kind of several videos of him talking, and as old as he was then, and I think he was still like 10 years younger than, when he died, just a huge kind of a bear of a man, and even you're used to seeing people as they get older kind of shrink and get smaller, but he was just like this mountain of a person that, you would expect that kind of voice to come out of.
Yeah. Somebody find me his diet, because I'd like to follow.
Yeah, no doubt,
That's
man.
For sure. So next week on Saturday Night Live, we'll get somebody like Mr. Peepers or something,
Maybe.
Live from Saturday Night. No.
Well, there was a time when Daryl Hammond fit in for him, or had to sit in for him for some reason.
Yep.
And do the announcing.
Yep.
Daryl Hammond's not doing anything right now. Just bring him back as the announcer.
There you go.
Right.
Haven't seen him in 10 years do anything. It might be a good job for him. He can even do an impression. Oh, that's the sad thing that's come out of this, though. When I was, looking for stuff on him, there's a lot of people trying to do his impression on YouTube, and it's just pathetic.
Yeah.
It's like, no, stop.
No. Stop doing that. Don't do that. No.
Don't do that. Just walk away from that, please.
Right. Some things should just be left alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I can't help it, but I get this thought in my head that he gets up to heaven, St. Peter's going, boy, am I glad you're here. We got a job for you.
Yeah, really.
Oh, yeah, you're going to stand right here and welcome people to heaven.
Yeah.
Welcome, and let me show you what you've won for all eternity.
Welcome to heaven.
Right through the pearly gates. Yeah.
Here's what you
No, I think that was Crazy
an
Cat's
exclusive trip on the down escalator to the other place.
We're just kidding, Don. We're just kidding. Okay.
Much love. Definitely.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah, I don't know how this keeps happening. This is like the second week in a row we've done a death
I know,
thing.
last week was rough.
I think we should just make it a segment.
Yeah.
Dearly Departed, Zone 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you guys waxed very eloquently in last week's episode about our pal, Robin Williams.
Right.
I was listening to the show and, honestly glad I wasn't a part of it because you guys did a good job. There was nothing else to add. So nice going.
Always sad to see somebody we grow up and watch and enjoy pass or listen to.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's the whole idea of the communication age and the television age. These people come into our homes every week and feel very much like a part of the family. Yeah.
Well, speaking of watching things and everything, a couple weeks ago, or it was last week actually, I think it was.
Yeah.
The rest of us talked about Guardians of the Galaxy, but you guys, Ron and Gordon, weren't able to be on last week. So I don't know, Ron, if you've seen. I know Gordon has. Did you guys want to give your thoughts real quick about the film?
I loved it. Well, there you go.
Okay.
Done.
Wait.
Moving on.
Good.
You guys actually liked that movie? That was a vile piece of garbage, dude.
Uh-huh.
What is up with you guys? No, I liked it too.
Yeah.
It was so much fun, and just I have this rule of thumb that I tell people, and it's how I gauge some movies sometimes, and people crack up laughing about it all the time. All right, and here's the kicker. My lovely wife detests action sequences.
Mm.
Now she goes to these movies with me, but she's going to stay awake and watch the exposition, the motivation, the talking scenes, and once they start getting into an action sequence, 9 out of 10 times she's taking a short nap. Okay, and I'll look out of the corner of my eyes, and sure enough, her eyes are closed. She could care less about the action. When it gets back to talkie, she opens her eyes and watches the movie. So here we are, Guardians of the Galaxy, right? And it takes off with that really touching scene about him and his mother,
right,
which was exceptionally a great hook. And then the movie takes off. And then he's playing, the wonky 70 music, and he's dancing and all this, right? And I can see Valerie smiling from ear to ear because she has got no clue what she's in for. She has no clue the Guardians, or she doesn't read comics or whatever.
Right.
Movie's all done. Lights are coming up. And I look at her and I go, "You never fell asleep for a second." She goes, "I know, what a good movie," and thumbs up. Even the action sequences. We come out of that theater, she was so buoyed by that film. She thought it was one of the coolest movies she's seen all summer. There you go. Yep.
There you go, the Valerie seal of approval.
Yep. I mean, and that says a lot for what Marvel does. You know what I mean?
Right.
They have that uncanny ability of bringing in us fans who know these characters, who are excited about seeing these films, but at the same time, they never lose sight of the fact that they're playing to a much broader field. They want to bring in the Valeries of this world, okay? And say, "Here, check this out. We can entertain you." And they did.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's amazing. That's absolutely great.
Totally agree. Gordon, anything to add?
Well, the thing that there are a lot of things I liked about Guardians of the Galaxy. The first is, and I mean this as a compliment, this really it was like the best Tarantino ripoff film that was ever made. I mean, even down to the music, because usually music in movies either sets a mood or is used as a counterpoint. And Tarantino's really good at using, sometimes obscure, but sometimes well-known songs in a different context. And there's that playfulness with this stuff. I think it also, and I know a lot of the fanboys are going to disagree with me, but this was, I think going in, this must have been a gamble, because there's no one out there who is a hardcore Guardians of the Galaxy fan. I mean, the comics the performance has been iffy on the comic side. This must have been a real throw of the dice. But I think that with Winter Soldier doing so well, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. doing so well, this kind of gave them a really good boost of confidence. And I know that months ago there was the whole, "Oh my God, Ant-Man, what's going to happen with Ant-Man?" The fact that they took essentially obscure characters, and I'm sure there's some guy who's complaining because they didn't do the classic Guardians with Charlie X and Martin X and all those other characters. Mm-hmm. The fact that they were able to pull it off so well, and there's not a bum note in this entire movie. Right. There isn't a sequence that falls flat. I mean, this is a great movie, and if you haven't seen it yet already, there's something seriously wrong with you.
How true.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah. I would say there probably are some exceptions to that. Our own Mike Luoma is a huge Guardians of the Galaxy fan. But your point's taken. It's not one of those. It's not Spider-Man or Superman or whatever.
Now, I will say this, okay? Personally, myself, and obviously, I don't know how many Howard the Duck fans are out there. Again, no spoiler, or, giving away. I'm making a comment, but I'm not saying something, all right? But I'm talking to a lot of my comic friends here in town after seeing the films, all right? And considering they're in the collector's, ship and whatever, at the end, the post-credit things, all of us kind of wished, and a couple of guys have said this, and I've read it online, that easily could have been, who's it, Warlocks? Cocoon in the background.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. They've confirmed it.
Right, it would have been wouldn't the ending have been just too cool to do nothing but just shoot over the collector's head at the cocoon and all of a sudden start to see it start to open without showing anything? Just see it shaking and then see it split in the middle and start to open up. And to me, that would have been a much better closing credit scene than what it gave us. Okay.
I agree.
Well,
he went for the joke.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going to say first, Gunn has said, he went for the joke. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, I'm wondering if that's going to be that might be a plot point in Guardians 2. Because they've kind of hinted that Thanos, or however you pronounce it, is not going to be the big bad in Guardians 2. Right. But I wonder if that's going to be one of the plot elements. And that it would make sense, because if you're going to do that Cocoon, you want to do it right, not just, the Cocoon's going to burst open and then leave people hanging for a couple of years. You're going to want to highlight that.
Mm.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, I think they might do it something like, we have to go save the Cocoon, or
Right.
something's going to happen, and
right. Like Gordon said, make it a plot element.
Yeah, make it a big plot point.
Yeah, obviously they're doing a very slow build with Thanos, and they're leading up to that Infinity Gauntlet thing, and I'm kind of thinking maybe he's going to be the villain in Avengers 3 as opposed to being a Guardians villain.
Yeah.
Oh, I think he will. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're going to keep other people, the Kree or someone else in the Kree or something like that. Maybe even the Skrulls.
Mm-hmm.
For Guardians, and they're definitely going to keep Thanos for the Avengers to deal with.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting either way it goes. Can't wait.
Yeah, we'll be there no matter what.
Oh yeah, absolutely, no question about that.
You could have Howard as the villain next time. I'd be there.
Zone 4 are firm Marvel Studios fans. That's all.
Yes, indeed.
Amen. All right.
So
I wouldn't even go that far, but I'm a firm Guardians of the Galaxy
Okay.
fan.
you would go that far, just not with the third movies.
Yeah, just not with the third movies.
But we haven't seen Cat 3 yet, so you might change your tune.
We'll see. They have a lot of they have a big bar to jump over after Cap 2. So
that is true. All right. So before we continue into some more headlines and talk about Ant-Man later on, as we've already mentioned him as well, we should mention that we are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network. You can find us each and every week on comicspodcasts.com, along with several other shows that are on the comic-related site, and a bunch of other podcasts for all your listening pleasure. So head on over there, or anywhere else you can find us, of course, zone4podcast.com, Comic Frontline's YouTube channel, and of course on comicrelated.com.
Comic book headlines.
All right, so should we talk about some more news, guys?
Let's do it.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Absorbing Man is going to be in the premiere of Season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he would be played by Brian Patrick Wade. This was revealed today, actually. So.
I swear I thought that was Vin Diesel the first time I saw that picture.
Yeah, from a distance, I could see that.
Yeah, and then for a minute I thought it was the tattoo artist from Miami Ink, but his arms are clean, so...
Yeah, I wasn't sure who this guy was until I saw that he was on Teen Wolf. Ron.
Oh, yeah, like a real close-up picture, you can tell, but...
Yeah, Ron, he was the big hulking alpha in the Alpha Pack.
Okay.
He was the big tall one.
All right. I know what you mean. Okay. Yeah, I definitely know what you mean.
Yeah.
But my question, and jump in, guys. Absorbing Man, Thor villain?
Yes.
Classic Thor villain from the early issues?
Yes.
Okay.
Occasional Hulk villain, too,
right.
but mostly Thor.
Mm-hmm.
Right, okay. Yeah, nice to know I'm not losing it completely.
No.
I was getting those comics when they were coming out, guys.
Right.
Yeah, former, what was he, boxer or wrestler? Boxer, I think. Yeah, he actually fought battling Murdoch. He fought Daredevil's dad back in the day.
Right.
Okay. Cool.
That's cool.
He got his butt handed to him, but yeah, he fought.
Yeah, that's cool. Again, I love the fact that they're picking from, this like half a century of great characters that appeared in the comics over the years, and it just gives a lot of added gravitas to the whole series. That they have that wealth of history to draw from, and keep doing it by all means.
Yeah, I like the idea that they're pulling a. How can I put this nice? He's a powerful villain, but he's not so incredibly powerful that it's going to be a stretch that the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. could take care of him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, he's an exceptionally powerful villain, especially if you get him near certain things. But he's also one of those villains that Power Pack could probably take care of if they need.
Yeah, right. And
You know,
he's not known for his intellect or his cunning.
no,
Yeah.
not
I mean,
not
this-
at all.
Which you mentioned that, and it's kind of funny because I just realized that looking down through IMDb, he was actually John and Ron. I know you'll appreciate this from Big Bang Theory. He was Penny's really dumb boyfriend.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Yes.
That
I
guy.
just saw that episode. Okay, now that you said it, I saw a rerun of it the other night on cable,
Yeah.
and he was there. I mean, the guy stands as tall as the door when
Yeah.
he walks in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I
Got it.
remember him totally.
Yeah,
And of course, he played that part. You know what I mean?
Right.
He was the one they were insulting at the party.
Yeah, and he
exactly.
did it, yeah, and he picked up Leonard. Yeah.
Leonard,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect choice. Perfect.
Now I know
choice.
who
All
he
right.
is.
Yeah. But it's interesting. And they say his powers are intact too, so that's going to be interesting.
Well, that'll be
to see.
cool.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Speaking of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we also have Mockingbird cast Adrienne Palicki, who you guys may remember was in the Wonder Woman pilot. She was also in Friday Night Lights and G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Yes.
So she would be playing Bobby Morse, a.k.a. Mockingbird, and Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Excuse me.
Yeah. Good choice.
It's been all over.
Choice.
It's been all over the internet. Wonder Woman is Mockingbird.
Yeah, of course.
But
Which
she
confused
she
people who were-
really good. She was really good in G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Right.
And I don't know if you guys have caught that new comedy series about a boy.
I saw one episode of it. She was in it, so yeah.
Yeah, she showed up in mid-season playing a doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and the hero of the show, the Bachelor, starts dating her.
Right.
And she became a semi-regular in the show. She kept popping up as his, girlfriend and whatever. And at first I was watching her and I was going, wow, beautiful young lady. I didn't realize who she was. But I think it was like after 2 or 3 episodes, all of a sudden I'm sitting there watching it with Val, and I realized, oh my God, that was what's her name from Scarlet, right, from G.I. Joe. And
Lady
then
J.
I realized that she'd been the Wonder Woman in that abortive pilot. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. So she's capable. So I'm interested to see what she does with the role and what they do with the character.
Mhm.
So
that's going to be a big cast.
yeah.
But she's supposed to be like semi-regular, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think so far it's just the one episode. It's episode 5 she's debuting in, and with a potential for a recurring role, which I'm really hoping for because, as comic fans, obviously we know that there's the Hawkeye Mockingbird thing.
Right.
Yeah.
You never know what they might do.
See if Jeremy Renner shows up.
Yeah. or she pops up in the movies. Hey.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I just want to see her and May spar.
There you go.
That's what I want.
That would be cool.
Cat fight. Yes.
Yeah.
Gordon, any thoughts?
Yeah, but this is a family podcast, so
But I'm bummed.
In other words, she's attractive.
She's pretty.
Oh, shoot. All right. Moving on to some non-Marvel news for a minute, because we got some more Marvel stuff coming up after that.
Yeah, no doubt.
But Boom Studios and 20th Century Fox have entered a first look deal. This was reported earlier this week. So basically, the way this goes, the studio, Fox Studio, has first crack at adapting any of Boom Studios' properties for television, or I assume also film, but it mainly specifies cable TV and broadcast TV. And this includes Boom Studios, Archaea, Boombox, Kaboom, any of their properties. So, and they were very complimentary to Boom Studios for their creativity and everything, which is really cool. They do a lot of neat stuff over at Boom, so very interesting. Could see some more comic properties coming to the small screen.
Yeah, well, it just seems to follow a trend. I mean, when I read the headlines, I haven't had a chance to go over and read the actual release itself, but the headline to me just, you sit back and you go, well, here we go again. I mean, you've got a very creative comic company, hands down, okay? I mean, some really gifted creators, a brilliant editorial staff that knows what it's doing, and all of a sudden, you get one of the major cable film companies to come along and tie up with them. To me, that's just a plus along the board. Who knows what properties they're going to bring to television? Keep them coming. That's what I say.
Right.
and not marred in decades of continuity problems.
That too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah, and we've already seen a couple of movies based on Boom properties, so with headlining actors like Denzel Washington, Mark Wahlberg. So
Yep.
I think, yeah. Go ahead, Gordon. Sorry.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's also nice too that, with the attention that Marvel's getting and with DC's kind of slight dominance of television, it's nice to see some of the indies actually getting some exclusivity deals. So it's
Right.
not just, oh, we've got this thing, first person comes up to bid. Fox is actually saying, hey, look, the stuff that we want to do, we'll actually pursue you to do. So it's actually kind of heartening on a creative level.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with that. All right, so moving on, we finally start to see some set photos from Ant-Man. It's not much there. Let's be
Yeah, I was
honest.
going to say.
Well, it is Ant-Man, so.
I saw Paul Rudd in a hoodie, but that was it.
That's it. There's just a bunch of pictures of him walking down the street, basically.
It is Ant-Man, so all the pictures have to be small.
Oh, of course, yeah.
They'll have to be wallet size.
We do see Evangeline Lilly's hairstyle for her character in the film, which is kind of a bob cut. A lot of people are saying it looks like Wasp and all this stuff. I don't know if you guys saw that one. It was the last link.
She is Waspy's
Yeah.
kid, supposedly.
Yeah, isn't she playing Hank Pym's daughter?
Yes.
Yes.
Or am I thinking? So
Yeah.
it would kind of make sense that, and it's weird too because from whatever the plot, it's almost like Kirk Douglas was doing Ant-Man years before like the Avengers came along, and I've heard it described as kind of like a heist film.
Mhm.
Yes. Which is cool. That's a whole new spin on things,
Yeah. So, jury's still out on this one. I'm still skeptical just because it's Ant-Man and everything we've heard, but, I do have faith in Marvel, as we talked about earlier, so
Right.
we'll see what happens. But I was hoping to see some more, interesting photos. But,
Well, there is that one, if you scroll down to those photos, that one of him small with the kind of after image of him big behind it,
Yeah.
If you go down to below, not the big ones, if you scroll way down, they have the gallery there.
Right.
And, that one's kind of cool. Or him out looking out the grating well, that just looks like someone put an action figure inside the grating. But, the one of him big and small.
Right, I know,
is
yeah.
good.
But what I still remember, this is all right. If people want to check this out, fine. But I'm still enamored of the little test screening they did 2 years ago at San Diego.
Yeah.
Which ended with him in the elevator as it's closing, in costume, and that little it was like a minute clip. Of him in action, popping up behind bad guys, and then shrinking immediately and stuff like that, and that got me totally excited for the concept, and I still am based on that little clip. If they can continue that kind of a snap pack, eye candy kind of action throughout, they could easily have another winner on their hands.
Yeah, that footage was really cool, and I remember getting excited about it too. The fact that they dropped the director and all that kind of stuff, and then, different cast members left, and that's what has me worried that they've changed things too much from that. But hopefully they stuck to the positive parts of all that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We'll just have to wait and see.
We
Maybe
sure will.
this one will have an 80s soundtrack.
Nice.
Okay.
All right. So speaking of Marvel films, Doctor Strange reportedly will not feature an origin story, but he
Best news of the week.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you.
Strange is eternal. Strange needs no origin story.
So he'll already be established as Sorcerer Supreme, and we'll get him in mid-story somehow. Again, have faith in Marvel. I like that direction because, I think, especially with his origin, we don't really need that. It's just,
Well, it's like let me. You can go back to classic filmmaking from the 1940s and whatever. And the first time they ever brought Sherlock Holmes to big budget films, Hollywood did, with Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce, right? And I mean, come on, Doyle writes his adventures. He's a middle-aged man, and you do the films, and you walk in, and there's Sherlock Holmes, a great detective, and there's a mystery, and he solves it. I mean, there was never any need for. Well, he was born in Heathrow. His father was this. He had a traumatic event at the age of 6. He learned his reasoning abilities. But comics, really, that's the curse of comics, I think, okay? Because up until comics, literature didn't need to give us all this backstory. Here's the hero. Let's get into the adventure, Comics, from its early inceptions, from even, Siegel and Schuster and Superman, you got to tell the story of Krypton and all this. Batman, you got to show him becoming an orphan. Fantastic Four, the Rockets. Comics have saddled us for nearly, like we're saying, almost 50 years now, or longer with Superman, 75 years, with this accursed need to tell an origin story, all right? I mean, if you can walk in on a Sherlock Holmes mystery, you can walk in on a Doctor Strange adventure, all right? Here's the brownstone. You walk in, and there's the master of the mystic arts. There's Doctor Strange. That's all you need to know. Boom.
Yeah. I agree. So, yeah, go ahead, John.
Well, I was going to say also the thing with his origin, he's kind of a prick in the beginning of it.
That's true.
With Doctor Strange, you don't need an origin sequence. What you need is a line of dialogue saying, I used to be an arrogant surgeon. I had an accident. I studied magic. Here I am. End of origin.
Yeah, that's it.
In the middle if you need it,
I do want to take some exception to what Ron said about comics saddling us with origins, because it's not, comics usually, most comics, especially way back in the Golden Age, it's usually like one panel of how someone got to be. Like Superman was a story, Batman was a story. Usually most heroes, it's, I got a magic ring in Tibet, blah, 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 blah. Part of the problem is with Hollywood, the way they consider, and especially it's really bad with, when you consider the DC movies, it's, we need to introduce this character to the audience. Instead of doing what, say, Burton did with Batman, which is you kind of throw the origin in the middle and set it up as a mystery, it's now the audience is too stupid to know who this character is. So we have to take the main character all the way through and say this is who this character is. And I'm a little distressed that Brandt is saying he's worried about Ant-Man, but last week he's talking about how he's looking forward to Batman versus Superman. Because I would tell you, Batman versus Superman, Ben Affleck will have a 25-minute monologue about, my parents died and I was just so angry, so it's like, don't blame comics, blame the idiots in Hollywood.
Superman, you know what the best moment of my day is? It's when I walk out of the Hall of Justice and I expect you not to be coming out, but you do every day. It's those few minutes before. It's the best part of my day. No, I think that's from Good Will Hunting, everyone. Thank you. But no, honestly, say what you will about the Shadow, but I love the way that they kind of did, they still did his origin thing, but it popped up in the middle of the movie. It popped up as a sleepy time flashback for, the female love interest. And I thought, okay, that's brilliant. The first hour of the movie, the Shadow. He's the Shadow, that's it. He's a Shadow in Lamont Cranston, and he just is. Mm-hmm. Other than 5 or 10 seconds of dialogue at the beginning, or as, Screen Sense puts it, reading that you have to do at the beginning of the movie. But, when he pops up, right into the action. So, for me, that's the way to go. If you have to do an origin, it doesn't have to be in the first 5 minutes of the movie. It doesn't have to be the focus of your first movie. Like Gordon was saying, before everyone decided that they needed to put their own stamp on the origin stories were a page.
Right.
Sometimes not even a page. Sometimes it was, or like for those of us who have been around long enough or who buy older comics, they give the origin story in 3 sentences.
Yep.
At the top of the
Marvel
thing, and then
Comics did this in the 70s.
Yeah,
it's that little
indeed.
top panel on page 1.
Right, exactly. Or, like for all the DC comics, it'd be up there in the corner. Rocketed as a baby from the Doom planet Krypton. Baby Kal landed in Kansas and grew up and whatever. But it was like a couple of lines long. And even like in the 90s when things got so convoluted and they had to make it like a full page thing, at least in the first panel of the comic, we got on with the story. So,
Right.
There are a lot of ways around that,
I
first
think
movie origin sort of thing.
the one that I always really appreciated the most, all right, because they gave us the origin story in the first of the series, was the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies.
Mm-hmm.
Now that one it worked, yeah.
Well, the point I'm saying is, that origin works immeasurably well with the opening story, the opening adventure. So now you come back for the second movie, and if you guys will recall, the thing starts with the credits, right, the Marvel credits, and the entire first movie is done in Alex Ross paintings behind the credits.
Right.
So
yeah, they quit doing that.
When you come into the live scene, it's a brand new story. And I'm like, nobody else picked up on this? I mean, come on, Jeez.
I noticed that in Guardians. They quit doing that. Because they used to tailor the Marvel thing to the movie.
Right.
They didn't do that with Guardians. Or at least I didn't notice it. I saw a bunch of other Marvel heroes, but I didn't see any Guardians in that.
I think they phased that out with Thor 2, The Dark
Yeah.
World, because they did it. I just rented it, so I kind of noticed that. I think they're trying to go for more of a
Universal sort of thing. Yeah.
I mean, and it's. I think it's also tough too because Marvel's now in a position where I'm sure that, obviously they expected to be successful, but I think even they're like, holy bleep, 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 we're getting more money and more success than we ever dreamed of. There's some executive going, hey, I knew that crazy idea about Guardians of the Galaxy was going to pay off big, but not this big.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right.
And it's possible that Disney said, hey, cut it out. Just put Marvel up. It's fine. You don't have to do all that.
Yep.
And then we like that.
I think, again, regardless of how a field this conversation is getting, I think we're all unanimous in saying that this is a really smart part on the producers and the directors to eschew the origin story of Doctor Strange. And that's a good sign for me. That's a really good vibe. But I'm still waiting to see who they're going to cast. That's the big hold your breath moment, all right? Who are they going to cast to play Doctor Strange?
Right.
After the big mistake of casting Johnny Depp as Tonto, I honestly think he has too much stink on him right now to really be an effective Doctor Strange.
Well, I got to tell you, look, you guys should go Google this after the fact because, I mean, I stayed away from that Lone Ranger mess, all right?
Well, so did I. I haven't seen it, but yeah.
And I still maintain that what happened to poor Johnny, who was a really good actor at one time, was that success of the Jack Sparrow persona. All right, suddenly it's like I can make fun of everything, and they're going to give me gobs of millions of dollars, which they have. So that being the case, Valerie and I went off to the movies this afternoon to go see Expendables 3, and which I absolutely loved as much as I did the first two. But they're showing the trailers, and one of them I had never seen before, all right? And it stars Johnny Depp, and it's set up. It's a comedy, and it's called Mr. Mordecai. And he has a little handlebar mustache, and he's like playing what is it, the Mr. Billionaire from the Monopoly games. It's that kind of a persona. He's this upper crusty British guy. The clips were hilarious, and I found myself sitting back and going, oh, okay, well, if you want to buffoon it up, then it works.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This isn't a straight movie in any shape, form, or whatever. It's a balls out, slapstick comedy, and he looks a riot in it. So, like I said, later on, you guys get a chance. Google Mr. Mordecai. I'd like to see him just expunge that comedy, urge out of him, do these movies, get them done, and then go back to some serious acting again, please.
Yeah, he that's the problem. He's been doing these comedies like that. I mean, you look at Dark Shadows.
Yeah, oh yeah. Again,
look at Alice in Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
He's been doing these kind of over the top characters so long, and I blame Tim Burton. That I'm beginning to wonder if he has that in him anymore to do those kind of quieter, I mean, even the Hunter S. Thompson movie, he was kind of all over the place. Now, given that Hunter is kind of all over the place, but still.
One of the last quiet things he did, which I absolutely enjoyed to the max, was playing, what's his name, James Barry in Neverland.
Oh, yeah. See, stuff like that. I don't know if he has that in him anymore.
You wonder, like I said. And that's why seeing this trailer for this, again, flat out comedy slapstick piece, like I'm saying, well, go for it. Okay, go to the extreme. Stop playing.
Yeah, but not for Doctor Strange.
But no. Please, somebody else for Doctor Strange.
Something tells me, although he's a good physical fit for Doctor Strange, I think part of the issue with Depp is it reminds me of a line from a television play Rod Serling wrote called The Velvet Alley, where he talks about a writer says, well, what they do is they offer you $1,000 a day, and then you start living a lifestyle where you really have to work to get that $1,000 a day. I think thanks to the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, Depp is now like, if he tries to do the quieter things, they're not in his price range. And I think with the backlash of Lone Ranger, and I've tried to watch this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that. I checked it out of the library. I have tried to watch it.
Yep.
I ended up after the first 20 minutes kind of bouncing around, and it is really a piece of crap.
Yes.
Channing Tatum would want to give Johnny Depp a vicious beat down. That's how bad this film is.
It is. Yeah.
How about you guys? Because, like I said, people have talked to me about the Lone Ranger, and again, connecting it to that other property that means a lot to me is the Green Hornet, which I have never seen, will never, ever see,
and
ever. But people come up to me and say, what about the Lone Ranger? And I said, well, you know what? If it ever shows up on cable and I run across it accidentally, I'll give it a look.
Switch the channel.
Yeah, if I don't have to make pay money.
I'm trying to be fair, like Gordon said, right? I'm trying to be fair, like Gordon said.
Yeah.
So sure enough, about a month ago, I'm flipping through the cable, one Saturday afternoon, and there it is. All right.
No.
And it had been on for like 3 minutes or whatever, and I immediately realized what it was, and I went, all right, I'm gonna give this a shot. Sat back, got comfortable. 5 minutes later, I was trying to grab a can to vomit. You know what I mean? And that was off that. Oh, the stink on that thing was just plain awful. Oh.
Yeah.
Same experience for me. Yeah.
And what's astounding is there are people who will say, "Oh, well, the film is not that bad." To which I say, "You are a liar." I mean, you know how I had to cure myself of the revulsion I felt at that movie? I had one of the times I shopped at Big Lots for like $1.50. I'd actually found a DVD of the animated Lone Ranger series from the 1980s with William Conrad.
Yeah.
With William Conrad doing the voice. Oh God, that was heavenly. especially after that movie.
I think if they had named that movie Shanghai Noon 3 or whatever, it still would have been a direct-to-DVD release.
Yeah, honestly, anything but that. Anything but hooking it to the Long Ranger.
Yeah. But I had the similar experience a few weeks ago. It came on, and I was like, well, I'll give it a shot. And it is just so insulting to the franchise.
That's what it is. Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I haven't seen it yet, and I'm not going out of my way to see it. But I won't, because I kind of grew up watching The Long Ranger as a kid, and I have that sort of connection, and that kind of the same kind of connection I had to Ultraman. It was like Sunday mornings. Those came on. And it was like, so I have kind of a real visceral connection to those sorts of things. And then, just seeing the Thing for that, and being of a more direct Native American descent than a lot of people I know, just having him dress that way is such an insult. Even for the time.
Right. I mean, look, you and I. I grew up watching that series.
Yeah.
And over the years, then I had the good fortune of seeing, the serials that Republic did, which were absolutely amazing. And aside from the hokiness of the story, I like the 1970s remake with Michael Ironhorse playing Tano. But the truth of the matter is,
I didn't mind that one.
Right. Again, they played it straight. That's what I was just going to lead up to, because the truth of the matter is Jay Silverheels was an amazing actor, all right? And his Tano is easily one of the greatest hero characters ever portrayed on film. Mm-hmm. Without a doubt, he is the Lone Ranger's equal, and at times superior, all right? And it's never, ever not that case. So, like, when this whole, mishmash with I'm, part Native American, and I'm going to do, the part Justice, and I'm like, where the hell have you been? Silverheels beat that out, decades ago, and you're not, you can't cast, you're not even good to walk in his shadow. Give me a break.
And the sad thing is that the guy who actually plays Lone Ranger, Armie Hammer, here's how horribly miscast he is. I was watching one of the featurettes on the Social Network. It was that Aaron Sorkin movie about Facebook, and they interview Jesse Eisenberg, who's being very Jesse Eisenberg and kind of obnoxious dork. So, okay, we take that. And then it interviews Andrew Garfield, who's coming across as very soft-spoken, very shy, and very humble, And then you've got Armie Hammer, who sounds like a used car salesman, who's really glad to be here. And I'm thinking, wait, they hired this douche to play the Lone Ranger? I mean, seriously? And he's not even, he's, say what you will about depth. Depth is one level of suck. Armie Hammer is an entirely different level of suck.
Or to you, I had, like I said, I haven't seen the movie, but to use a Gordon joke, I'm sure he went to the Channing Tatum School of Acting.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just sent you. I don't know if you guys saw it, but on Skype I just sent you guys a story I just came across. This is a real story. I thought it might have been a sarcasm site, but I had to mention this because it's funny. Russia wants Bulgarians to stop vandalizing Soviet monuments to look like American superheroes. This is from the Moscow Times. This is an actual article. Apparently, there are Bulgarian individuals painting statues to look like Superman, the Joker, Wolverine, etc.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, so
brother Ivan appreciates that at all.
I don't think so.
In Soviet Russia, Joker doesn't invade your city. Your city invades Joker.
Yes.
I don't think Putin is very happy about this right now. But,
hey guys,
hey,
I can't take any man who's the first part of his name is Poot. Seriously.
Putin. Anyway, I just had to share that. That was too funny.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I think it was an evil Soviet plot because as soon as I opened that site on my tablet crashed.
I know, you dropped from the call. That was funny.
Curse you, Russians!
You're just giving us all.
Oh, shoot.
And as
Giving us all a Russian
Polish,
virus.
And as someone who's of Polish descent, I hate Russians and Germans equally. So
there you go.
I have a good reason to.
Oh man! All right, so moving on, we got one more headline. Doctor Who season 8 premiere. It's going to theaters actually. Monday, August 25th.
Coming out of the movie this afternoon. Walked right by this giant poster, of Capaldi, and I went, huh? And then I looked, and it says, at this theater, whenever it's, what is it, Saturday night or whatever?
Monday. Yeah.
Monday night? Yep.
Yeah. The Saturday is the television premiere.
Right.
Okay.
Monday, they're premiering it in theaters across the country because I'm actually, I'll do a preliminary shout out now. There's actually a gathering, the Chicago Nerd Social Club at the AMC River East at 7 o'clock. And they're doing a 7 and a 9:30. There's another similar gathering at the Century 6 in Evanston, 7 and 9:30. And I've even heard rumors that some theaters are doing a midnight showing late Sunday, early Monday morning.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah. Hot dog. That's cool.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. And of course, this weekend, it is this weekend. Yeah. Yeah. This weekend is the
Saturday at 8.
The premiere. Yep.
So. Very exciting for Doctor Who fans, which most of this cast are.
Yes, everyone. Brant is not a Doctor Who fan. Get him.
Well, no, he's new. He's seen some episodes, so he's being honest. He's not like saying, he's not obnoxious about it. Like I know that there's another franchise that I won't name, where the fans are kind of super obnoxious and they put you down because you don't like their show. They're also super obnoxious for some reason against Walking Dead fans, which I have no idea why, because at least Walking Dead fans are like logical and their show actually is interesting and has some stuff to say rather than basically just being, okay, let's call it what it is. You want to see naked people, but you don't want to pay for porn. There, I said it.
Okay.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, you didn't mask that one very well, Gordon.
Yeah, but I was trying not to.
Not to call them out exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all good. But no, I have seen a few episodes, and I've actually liked a couple episodes. I'm just not a big fan, but that's fine. All right, so all the headlines are done. That means it's topic time.
Topic time!
Yeah, topic time!
Topic time! It's topic time.
Oh boy, we got a winner this week.
Yeah, there you go. I was about to say we've been slacking off on that. You guys brought it back.
All right, so our topic this week, we are actually going to look at a link, a story that talks about 40 movies you probably didn't know were comic books. And we're going to discuss these, especially the more obscure, the ones that, we maybe didn't know. We'll see if you as our listeners did know all of these, which I'm sure there's got to be at least one people didn't know. But this should be interesting because none of us have looked through the full list. Nope. So it's going to be kind of surprising for us, too.
I'm sure there's someone in the basement somewhere.
I always get a kick out of these websites. It's like, and that title has its own umbrage and haughtiness, Films you didn't know were comic books. And as you read through it, Rant, I looked through it and I went, really? Really? The whole world didn't know this was a comic book? Right. That kind of thing?
Yeah.
So why don't you start us off, buddy?
All right. First up, we have a John Hughes movie. Weird Science was actually a comic book.
Yeah, I almost called shenanigans on this one until I actually read the thing underneath. I'm like, come on, they use the same name. That's not...
Right. That was my thought, too.
Yeah.
So, Weird Science could be anything. But it was an old EC-type horror fantasy comic book, okay? So, there you go, okay?
I'd like to see the story and, see how closely or not at all closely that they did with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I I think that one's a stretch. Were you going to say something, Gordon?
Yeah, I was about to say this. This is a writer who's bored and is looking for clickbait. I mean, that's the best you can do to start us off, dude. Seriously, lame.
To be fair, and we will include a link in the show notes, there was an issue of the comic that featured a story about two nerds trying to create a perfect woman. That's where the base for the Weird Science came from. So.
Yeah, and Kelly LeBrock comes very close to that.
Yes, indeed.
Because good casting.
Back in the 80s, yep, she was more than enough.
All right.
Okay, number 2.
All right, number 2. A little bit obvious, especially if you're a comic fan. Whiteout. Greg Rucka's Whiteout, which was...
the comic was absolutely phenomenal. I can understand how a lot of people... I mean, this was... What was the outfit that did it? It was Oni Press? Right.
Oni, yeah.
So I can understand how the general public had no clue.
Yep.
But then again, the movie that they made ended up being such an abysmal flop.
Right.
All right? That why should they even worry about whether it was a comic or anything?
Very true. And that's sad because I really like Kate Beckinsale. And for her to be in a movie that wasn't that great, it's just...
Right. And like I said, right, when I first heard the film was coming out, I was excited because, again, I read the comic.
Yeah.
The comic is amazing. Again, Greg Rucka, great writer, great mystery, takes place, a good plot, everything. Good, great comic book. Should have been an awesome movie. Nope, they dropped the ball. Bad.
Agreed. Yeah. And Greg Rucka is a fantastic writer. He's a novelist. He's a comic writer.
Oh.
He's written Batman. He has that mystery aspect down, and so
if some of our listeners are only familiar with his comic work, shame on you. Go out and get his novels. They're amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the ones, though, that the fact that we work for a news website
right.
kind of ruined it, because this is not a comic that I would have ever gone to look for myself.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Just because it's not, it's not a genre I would really be that interested in. But the reason that I knew about it is because we reported on it.
Right.
There you go.
And, honestly, if I wasn't a comic fan, I probably wouldn't know that was based on a comic.
Right.
Yeah, so I have to put that caveat in there. Sometimes the only reason we know is because somebody tells us, so we'll tell other people.
Right. All right, so next up we have... Oh, go ahead, Gordon. Sorry.
I was about to say, the ironic thing is, I knew Whiteout was based on her Greg Rucka work. Mm-hmm. I thought it was based on one of his novels, not one of his comics.
Okay. Interesting.
Actually, I'm wondering if he did a novel about it, too.
Yeah, it's possible.
That we think it, now that we're talking about it.
It's possible, then broke it down.
He did a sequel. to Whiteout.
Okay, maybe that's one.
All right, but there was, again, another comic miniseries.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay.
All right, moving on.
All right, next up we have R.I.P.D., which starred, Ryan Reynolds and, why is his name escaping me? Somebody help me.
Oh, Jeff
Bridges.
Jeff Bridges.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was waiting for the thing to come up because I couldn't remember either.
And it gives proof to the fact that, yes, Jeff Bridges can make a bad movie. Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Oh, he's made many bad movies, but yeah.
But, I mean, this is the guy who, did the remake of True Grit, all right?
Yeah.
And, I mean, was absolutely phenomenal. I see the trailers for this thing, and I didn't at the time have any clue this is based on a comic. My feelings from the trailers were, okay, here we go, a Men in Black ripoff,
Yeah.
And eventually caught this again one afternoon on cable. And said, it's that show. I'm going to watch this, and I don't know why I suffered through it, guys. I kept hoping it was going to get good, and it never did. It's awful. It's one of those things now where I'd like to go out and find a comic and see how bad they really screwed up.
I was thinking the same thing. Is the comic as bad as the movie? Because that movie hurt my feelings. It really did. It was that bad.
Well, guys, here's an educational lesson on whether you should decide to see a movie or not. If at any point you see the words Ryan Reynolds, Channing, or Tatum, that's a movie to avoid.
Then run away.
Also Army and Hammer.
Well, there you go. Yeah, if it hadn't been on before, I think it was Game of Thrones, honestly, one night, that if it hadn't been on before that, I wouldn't have watched it.
Or I'll add to your list, Gordon. Seth and Rogen.
And Logan, yeah.
Yes.
It is. Yes.
But
Which
yeah, this,
leaves out half of 2000.
I mean, look, I could care less about Reynolds, but watching this thing was so painful. I felt bad for Bridges. You know what I mean? It was like, oh my God, I hope they gave you a decent check for this thing.
I mean, Jeff
Yeah, no
Bridges,
doubt.
Tron, the Fabulous Baker Boys, and this guy. You know, he's in this movie. That's.
I mean, I felt bad for Mary Louise Parker.
Yes, exactly.
You know, and she's hardly been in fabulous movies, but this movie was just kind of, her character was kind of, I don't even know what to call it.
She does kind of have a hit series on Showtime, though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, she's got Weeds, and I watched Weeds for the first few years.
Oh, she's
but
a gifted actress. I mean,
yeah, she is.
But they gave her nothing. They gave her absolutely nothing. The movie is lame.
Yeah.
Lame.
I haven't seen R.I.P.D. and I have no intention of seeing R.I.P.D.
Yeah, smart.
But I have a theory. I wonder if the producers were kind of aiming for Beau Bridges, but he said, no, I don't need the money that badly.
Funnily enough,
he's the Bridges brother that will more likely do stuff for a paycheck.
True, very true. But funnily enough, this role was actually intended for Zach Galifianakis.
That would have almost have made sense.
Yeah, to a degree.
But honestly, I don't even know what Kevin Bacon was doing in this movie.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, he's usually a lot more selective about his garbage.
Look, I'm going to tell you right now, guys. The day comes when they can make olfactory senses on television. This thing stinks to high heaven in anybody's home. All right.
Honestly, I think this was a way just to make people 1 degree closer to Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll defend Kevin Bacon on this level. He and his wife were victims of Bernie Madoff, and they lost a lot of money. Otherwise, you would not have Kevin Bacon doing that horrible Fox series.
Yeah, well, actually, my wife and I had this thing where we see people in things that they have no business being in. We call it house payment. We just say the words house payment every time, that we see somebody in something like this. That makes perfect sense.
I'll remember that one, Joe.
Yeah.
Good. All right.
Makes perfect sense.
All right, next up.
This one, man, really? Okay, The Rocketeer.
If somebody didn't know that was based on a Dave Stevens comic book, I will slap them to this side of the moon. You understand that?
Exactly.
Wait. The Rocketeer is based on a comic book?
Go kill him. Someone fly to Chicago and shoot that
One of my all-time favorite A strips, B movies, okay? Just, oh, God, I love The Rocketeer. Have you guys been hearing any of the innuendos and rumors in the last year or so of the possibilities of a remake?
I haven't, but I would love it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I would actually love a more I mean, I love the Disney movie to death, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I would love something a little more faithful.
Mm-hmm.
A little more, not a little more adult necessarily, but something a little bit more faithful.
Well, I mean, they've even gone as far as bringing it up to Joe Johnston, the director.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that it was easily one of the most enjoyable experiences he's ever had as a director. The story, Dave Stevens, the whole idea of the script and what they did with that little film, and said that they really wouldn't have to twist his arm awfully, hard to get him to sign on to do a new Rocketeer. Mm-hmm. That's how much he loved the project. So
I just can't believe people would assume that nobody would know that was a comic film.
I know.
Yeah, that's insulting, actually.
Yeah,
really.
Even in non-comics fans, that's kind of insulting.
Yeah, I mean, I had when the Rocketeer came out, I was just getting into comics, like really seriously, and I didn't have any history with the Rocketeer, but I still knew, hey, that's a comic book, that's a comic strip or something,
The images were out there,
right? Exactly.
Well, we were following the strip, and when the movie came out,
mm-hmm.
I had a bunch of friends up in Portland, Maine, and we got talking, and it was going to premiere like on a Thursday night. And so I made a point of driving up there to go see it with other comic friends, okay? And by then, like I said, I was a huge fan of the strip, okay? Stevens' artwork, and of course, my love of pulps and the serials. All right, I mean, this is such an homage, and Steven always intended it to be of that classic Republic serial, King and the Rocketman. And so, I mean, loving the strip, I go up there with all my comic buddies, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed because we all know how hard it is to do period pieces, And this movie starts, and the first thing you hear is the opening refrain from James Horner's music score, which is one of my all-time favorites. And you're actually in the hangar, and the big garage doors open up, and as they open up, the music swells, and that GB gets pushed out onto the airstrip, and you're getting ready for the air race. And from that moment to the end of that film, Ron was in Nirvana movie comic heaven. I mean, I was just blown away. When the lights came on, the six of us that were there, I mean, the rest of the crowd was just, public and whatever. The six of us comic friends were just like patting each other, hugging each other, giving ourselves high fives. We come out of that theater, I mean, we hit up a bar and got drunk. That's how freaking happy we were. Right? Rocketeer is amazing. It's absolutely astounding.
Agreed. What were you going to say, Gordon?
I was about to say, I actually, in terms of the soundtrack, I actually made a discovery. One night I was trying to watch the old Buster Keaton movie, The General, which is a silent movie, but I couldn't find a copy with the soundtrack. So I played the silent movie, but with the Rocketeer soundtrack playing, because I've got it on MP3 on my hard drive. Yeah. Cues up almost perfectly.
Wow.
Nice. You should see if you can load that to YouTube. That'd be cool.
That is awesome. That is just
that'd be cool to see or hear.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that the person who wrote this, I'm wondering if this is their house payment.
Maybe so.
Okay, so what? Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, good. I don't know what just happened.
We didn't hear you after house payment, though.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good. That's all I had to say.
Okay.
Well, honestly, with things like this, I wonder how old this person is.
Yeah, very true.
Because this is, something like this makes me think a kid wrote this.
Right.
Well, it's possible it could be in
who's never ever seen the comic, which is really sad because
right.
It's been reprinted in the last few years. IDW has put out some really classic editions which contain all of Dave Stevens' Rocketeer material, and any diehard comic fan should have that in their library.
Yeah. All right, so next up is one that I actually just found out recently that it was based on a comic strip.
I had no clue.
Yeah, Over the Hedge, the DreamWorks animated feature. It's been a comic strip since 1995.
Wow.
Yeah. And I absolutely love the movie. I thought it was fantastic.
I enjoyed it. I saw it.
But,
yeah, and I thought it was fun too. But when this came up on the list, I went, really? And then I looked at the comic cover, and like you said, it's been around for a while.
Yeah. So I just looked it up. There was an update today on their comic strip. So so there you go.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Now, see, the next one coming up is the one that I about fell out of my chair.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Okay. This one, Little Orphan Annie.
Right.
Only the fact that you could maybe go, it's not a comic book, quote unquote.
Right.
It's technically a comic strip.
Right.
That was reprinted into comic books later, but anybody who doesn't know this is a moron. I almost cussed again. It's a moron. I mean, come on.
It's Annie. I mean...
Yeah, anyone who doesn't know this needs to have their heads surgically removed from their buttock.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, because this is ridiculous. How do you not know this?
If Popeye's on this list, I mean, that's like on par,
Oh, yeah, it would have to be. I mean, how could you not know this?
Right. I mean, the strip's been around.
And the next one will be Superman.
Yeah.
If it is, we close down this link.
That'll be it.
It's like, okay, this list is obviously by an idiot. If Superman is anywhere on this list.
Yeah. All right, so the next one actually is I don't even know if I can pronounce this right.
Sank.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sank. The Adventures of Adele Blanc-Cinq. It's a French comic strip.
I've never heard of the movie.
Exactly.
Okay.
I've never seen the movie. Yeah.
I have the movie. It's a Luc Besson movie.
I know Luc Besson, but yeah.
It's a period piece, and it's more or less a female adventurous reporter who travels around the world having these bizarre adventures. And it's an odd duck kind of film, but it's fun. Okay, and it's one of those that if you ever catch on cable, I would recommend sitting down and watching, because it's got some really, really funny, bizarre little twists and turns in it. But at the core of it is a great little story. And again, Besson's such a good filmmaker. But I watched this, the special documentary features afterwards, and especially the interview with the French writer artist who does the strip. And they show panels from his strip and whatever, and very detailed artwork. I'd seen it advertised on Facebook years ago. Somebody, brought it up and said, for all you guys who like period adventures, pulp stuff and whatever. And so, as it turns out, I'm in a Walmart. No, I'm in a Best Buy one day, and there it was, on sale, in English, dubbed in English.
Yeah.
And I picked it up for like, $15 or whatever, and I said, I got to check this out. So, yeah, again, I'm familiar that it was a strip, but I doubt seriously most Americans have a clue this even exists.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like Brenda Starr or Paris of Pauline to me. So
there you go. In that vein, very much so, John.
I too like Besson's work, so I might have to check that out.
Yeah, I mean, I love Fifth Element, obviously. So
Well, I mean, he did the Nikita TV series, which I'm a big fan of.
Yeah.
He does the Transporter movies, so.
Oh yeah,
so I'm
and
if
you haven't seen Lucy yet, I recommend it highly.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
I've heard good things about that too.
She beat Hercules after all, so So I watched Hercules, and I can see how.
No.
All she would have to do is show up.
There you go.
Oh, honestly, this one too. If you didn't know this was a comic.
No, I think if you're not a comic fan, you might not know this. But
yeah, you're probably right.
What was the outfit that published it?
Top Cow.
Top Cow.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it was so far.
What are we talking about?
All right.
Wanted. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I was gonna get there.
Oh, okay.
But Wanted by Mark Millar, whatever. The movie was far off.
I was about to say that. Yeah. So
I mean, I could understand.
I guess.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, there was in the comic, it was all costume kind of stuff, and there were some very creative, should we say, names.
Yeah, true. But they beat the heck out of the fact that was a comic, though, when they were promoting it.
That is true. You're right.
Yeah, so, I could understand people not knowing this was a comic if they never saw any of the promotion for it.
There you go.
If they just walked into the movie and go, "Oh, Angelina Jolie making a bullet curve,"
I
whatever.
Just as an aside, I like the movie, but
Yeah.
not as a comic adaptation. I'd like the movie just as a movie. Yeah.
It had the title, and that was about all it had to do with the comic.
Right, that's it. I saw the film and enjoyed the film.
Yeah.
And then was reading online, some people, grousing and complaining it was nothing like its source material.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm saying, well, if I like the film and it's nothing like the source material, I really have no urge to read the source material.
Right,
it's something totally different.
Right. I've read the source material, and you're right, Ron.
It's definitely an acquired taste, so, as a lot of Top Cow is. But
right. All right. So next up we have The Surrogates, which I can understand this one.
Yeah, I can get this one.
Yeah, same thing. When the movie was first released and advertised, I was like, oh, okay, another Bruce Willis science fiction movie, and it looked decent. Looked like I haven't seen it yet. But not, if I ever get the opportunity, I'll probably, I like sci-fi movies like this.
Yeah, don't pay for it.
It's
honestly.
But again, I think it was comic related that I first found out when I was reading about it. Oh, based on this comic, and I went, huh?
Right. Yeah,
we thought it was going to be good.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Robert Venditti he's a good guy. He's a friend of Chuck's, and he's writing Green Lantern.
Yeah, no, I mean the comic was okay.
Yeah, Yeah, the comic was good. So I mean,
the movie
that's
was. Bleh.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why we promoted it. We were like,
Yeah,
excited,
yeah.
you know, for Robert and everything. And I believe it was Top Shelf, maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
I think.
it was
Yeah,
Top
Top
Shelf.
Shelf.
Okay, and
Because I've read both the comic and seen the movie, and there's enough variation with the source material, but it's not enough where if you read the comic, you spoil yourself on the movie, or if you see
Yeah.
the movie, you're going to be able to spoil the comic.
right.
And the movie's kind of a good Sunday afternoon on cable type of
Yeah,
movie.
Exactly. Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, I got to give it to. I mean, Robert Venditti's writing great, of course, but I got to give it to the artist of Surrogates. You know, it is such a weird kind of David Mack sort of art that it's it's a fun read if you're into that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah. All right. So next up is one we've actually mentioned on the show before, Road to Perdition, which starred Tom Hanks. Back in what was it, 2002?
Yeah, which is an awesome film,
Yes.
and so's the graphic novel that it's based on. I'm a huge, Max Allan Collins fan. I'm make no bones about that, and I had the privilege of having a correspondence with Max for a number of years. Just really, really great guy. And I hadn't read the book first. I knew the book existed. I think Vertigo put it out. And knew of the book, but hadn't had a chance to pick it up. And then what happened was the film came out. So I went to see the film, and I can remember seeing the film and absolutely, really, really loving the film and coming out of the theater because it was such a unique, different persona for Tom Hanks to take that role.
Right.
And playing off of, what's his name? Paul Newman.
Right.
One of the last roles he had, which again was amazing. The film is brilliantly made. So that coming out of the theater, Valerie was like taken by it, and we'd gone to see it with friends, and I said, well, it's based on a comic book. And they were like, no freaking way, you gotta be kidding. The comic books aren't like that. I said, oh yeah, some of them are.
Yeah, they are.
And so I made it a point to, I ordered a copy from my local comic shop and got it, and it is, even in its own right, a great graphic novel. It's slightly different than the film, is what you'd expect, but the film stays very, very true to the essence of the comic book. It tells that same story. And for those people who don't know, Collins has gone on and written 2 sequels to it, featuring some of those characters that appear in that. So, that's and I don't know if you guys are familiar with the story behind this at all, but supposedly, according to Collins, Hollywood producing companies or whatever have deals with DC and Marvel, whatever, and they're forever like shipping over graphic novels to the major studios, and they just like bring them in and drop them in on the front reception desk for anybody who works there to pick up. And the story goes, according to Collins, this is what he was told when all this came about, was that one of the executive producers walked in one day and looked over, and there was a stack of graphic novels, and amongst them was Road to Perdition. And he, interesting, gangster movie and Al Capone and all this. And so he takes it home. Next day, he comes in and basically goes to see Spielberg and throws it on Spielberg's desk and says, "You got to read this. It's awesome." That was it.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't know this was a comic until years after I'd seen the film.
Well, not years after me, but I was the same. I didn't know it was a comic until the film came out.
Yeah, so I'll give him credit for that one. All right, so
Yeah.
next up is something I've never heard of ever. Gainsbourg.
Burrow.
Yeah, A Heroic Life. Came out, both the comic and the film came out in 2010 apparently.
Yeah,
Okay.
you got me on this one. I have
Me
no
too.
clue.
Never saw the film, never heard of the comics.
Yeah.
Never heard the comic. Not a comic I would read, probably. Because,
Probably not. Me either.
Well, first off,
Is there-
it's in French, but
Yeah.
secondly, even in English, I hate handwritten comics.
Yeah, I do too. Go ahead, Gordon.
Yeah, is there any description? Because I've never heard of this thing, and I want to be sure I should ignore it. Or
Let's see.
Yeah, it's a comic book artist. His film has blah, blah, blah. No, not really. It's not really a description. Let me
No,
find.
they talk about the movie.
The movie, a glimpse of the life of French singer Serge Gainsbourg from growing up in 1940s Nazi-occupied Paris through his successful songwriting years in the 1960s to his death in 1991 at the age of 62.
So it's the piano meets Walk the Line.
Yeah.
With a
Kind
little
of.
bit of to have and have not.
There you go.
Probably,
Right.
yeah. And a tiny little bit of bird thrown in.
There you go.
Because I think somebody in this has a trumpet. But other than that.
All right, next up, one of those Jean-Claude Van Damme movies.
Yes! One of the
Time
better
Cop.
ones.
Yes.
One of the better ones.
Yeah, Time Cop. I really
One of
did
the
enjoy
few
this movie.
good ones.
Right. I smiled when I saw that come up on the listing. Because, yeah, I liked Time Cop. I thought Time Cop was extremely well done. And I was unaware it was a comic book.
I think
Yeah,
it's
written by Mark Verheiden. If I'm not
Wasn't it a
mistaken.
movie first, though? Or was it? No, it was comic first.
yeah.
I'm surprised.
I think I found out at some point. I didn't know when the movie came out that it was based on a comic, but I think I did hear that at some point later on. But yeah, you're right about the writer, Gordon.
Oh, yeah. He's fantastic. He's always fantastic.
That would have been for Dark Horse, right?
I only 3 issues in 2 years.
It's interesting. Maybe they were really long issues.
I guess.
Or it could have been a really, really small company, because I know a lot of indie comic companies would, especially in like the 80s and especially in the 80s, the early 80s, often didn't have the financial ability to put out comics on a monthly basis.
Well,
I mean, this is something Ron could probably speak more to than I could.
it was Dark Horse. Ron was correct. Yeah.
But it was Dark Horse back in the day.
It was early 90s, 92, 94, so.
So, yeah, they had the same problems as what we would consider an indie company now.
Yeah.
Right.
Back then,
Exactly.
So.
They were just and Mike and what's his name Richardson was just getting them into that movie field.
Yeah.
He was courting Hollywood big time.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
about the time that they started getting the Star Wars license.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was right around there.
Yeah,
So,
he
I
was
mean-
trying to buy up everything. I remember being at conventions then.
Right.
Yep.
All right, this one.
You've got to
Again,
be
it's Dark
sacked if you
Horse
don't know this
property.
one.
Yeah, this one,
Dark
Barbed
Horse
Wire, is the next one, and they were so obvious this was based on a comic book. I remember the promotions.
Yeah.
There was
Right,
no way you
yeah.
could know. Yeah.
Now, has everybody seen Barbed Wire?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it at a drive-in actually.
Okay.
Really?
Okay. Now here comes a
I can imagine
little
the houses
here's the
around
trivia bit of information you may or may not know.
All right.
Uh-oh.
All right. Oh, you guys are gonna die. All right. I mean, I'm reading the comic books
Mm-hmm.
and enjoying the comic series. So here comes the movie, right? Barbara Anderson. Okay. So Valerie goes, "You want to see this?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm reading the comic book. It's pseudo science fiction. It has some points to it." So we go see it. Sitting in the theater and watching the story unfold. Now I'm about 30 minutes into it, and I'm starting to recognize the plot a lot more than I should, and it's not from the comic book.
Mm-hmm.
So Valerie's like whispering, "What's the matter?" And I said, "I know this story." And so we keep watching it and watching it. Well, it hits me like a bolt out of the blue, and I almost started laughing in the middle of the theater, guys, sincerely, all right? And I thought to myself, whoever who wrote this script had the biggest cojones in the world. All right, now pay attention. Barbed Wire is a ripoff of Casablanca.
Yeah.
Okay? It is.
That sounds so bizarre.
It is a ripoff of Casablanca. All right, because when you look at the original Humphrey Bogart script and film, his old lover comes to Casablanca, which is neutral, to get her husband to freedom. Okay, her husband's this freedom fighter, and the Nazis are there, but they can't touch him because it's a neutral zone. But by the end of the film, Rick, who still loves her, gets her out of the country. In Barbed Wire, it's her old boyfriend who comes to see her with his wife, who is a rebel leader. He's
Right.
trying to get her into Canada, but the area they're in Oregon or whatever is the neutral zone. And Barb owns the restaurant a la Rick's Place. It is, and after the fact, when the movie was finally out and people were like critiquing it or whatever, several film critics caught that too. And it's a known fact. It's a swipe of Casablanca.
Wow. That's... Wow.
Why did Bogey never do a 20-minute naked shower scene?
I've often wondered that, John.
That's actually in the, John, the 20-minute Bogey nude shower scene is on the Blu-ray of Casablanca.
Ah, see, I haven't got a Blu-ray player yet. Yeah, no, and the funny thing in that movie is she keeps calling, I forget what thing they're actually using. I think she keeps calling a forklift a bulldozer. Or bulldozer or forklift, one or the other throughout the end of the movie where the bad guy and she are fighting on whatever contraption this is.
Right, yes.
She keeps calling it the wrong thing.
Yeah. But I come out of that theater just in tears laughing. And it's like I said, I mean, the chutzpah, all right, to make this B movie with Barbara Anderson off of the bones of one great American films.
And we should tell people that there's cleavage in the barbed wire comic, but no naked boobs. It is Dark Horse after all.
Right. That's right. Okay.
So in case you were getting excited, and they don't look like Pam Anderson anyway.
No. All right. So next up we have The Fountain, which...
Yeah, you got me on that one.
I vaguely remember this movie coming out, but I never saw it. It was a Brad Pitt movie.
I mean,
Brad Pitt?
Yeah.
Or
Hugh Jackman.
That's Hugh Jackman.
Oh, it was going to star Brad Pitt. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was going to star Brad Pitt and Kate Beckinsale, yeah.
It was Hugh Jackman. Yeah, I don't think I ever saw it. But yeah, go ahead.
You lucked out.
No, I was going to say it's Ponce de Leon, right? It's supposed to be about the Fountain of Youth?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
And, yeah, it's based on a Vertigo book.
You went on me, man.
It's...
Did they even say?
I watched like 20 minutes of it on cable and had no clue what I was watching. And that's when I gave up.
I think I remember watching the trailer for it and thinking this is
thinking
just...
maybe not,
yeah. No, this is not something I want to watch. So...
Was the comic written by Darren Aronofsky, too? Or?
That's the impression
they don't say. I mean, it's illustrated by Kent Williams. They say that.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like the image. The image is kind of cool. And the woman sort of looks like, what's her name? Aisha Tyler. Yeah. But other than that, I can't tell you.
I'm wondering if the comic came out first or not, because...
Well, it says, comic 25... Or,
that's what it says, but I just looked it up, and it says the comic is based on the original script of Darren Aronofsky's film, The Fountain.
Huh.
So, I don't know. That's...
Oh, well, notice this. If comic fucks me over, at least I'll make a comic out of it.
If Hollywood. Yeah.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, so that...
It could be a situation where maybe the comic and the movie were due to come out at the same time, and the movie had to be delayed, so the comic comes out first, and then you've got, so technically it comes out first, but, again, house payment, lazy writer.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what happened is, looking at the description here, it was going to be a $70 million movie, but then Brad Pitt pulls out.
Yeah.
And production shuts down. So he decides, well, at least I'll make a comic out of it. Yeah. Then Warner Brothers comes along and says, well, we'll let you make it, but for half. So, like a $40 million movie or whatever. So, yeah,
weird.
Sad.
Yeah.
That's a good thing about comics, unlimited budget.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. All you have is time constraints.
We're only up to 15, folks, so...
Yeah. We may need to buzz through these a little faster. And honestly, if you don't know number 15, hurt yourself.
Yeah. Actually, I might have to hurt myself because I did not know there was a comic.
You did not know there was a Addams Family? Oh, my God.
Addams Family is what we're talking about.
Addams Family.
You brain.
Yeah, I honestly did not know. This is the first I'm learning this right now. I did not know.
Wow. Okay.
I'm sad to admit that.
Brad, who
Take
did
a hammer
you
to your head,
think the Addams Family was named after?
I didn't. I just thought it was a TV show. Had no idea.
It was Charles Addams was a very famous illustrator. I think he did a lot of work for Playboy. And the reason why you had the Addams Family, those were all characters in his. I don't know if he did strips. I know he did like one-page cartoons.
Yeah.
Kind of like Jerry
they were one image,
like Far Side kind of.
Right. Yeah, like
Exactly.
single panel illustrations
Okay,
for every
right.
one of them.
Shame on you, Brant. Shame on you.
Hey, you know.
Shame
Did you ever watch the early Jeremy Brett Masterpiece Theater mysteries on public television? They animated Adams's some of his cartoons.
I probably did, but I don't remember.
It's the girl swooning, and you see bats flying.
Actually, technically, Ron, I think you're thinking of Edward Gorey.
Yeah, I think you are.
Okay. No, I stand corrected.
Okay.
I believe you are in this case. Yeah, thinking of the
Okay.
Edward Gorey
My
stuff.
apologies to all my fellow comic fans. Just
We have to take a chip off of your comic card now. Sorry. We have to cut off a corner for not knowing that.
hey, I am younger than you guys.
This is true, but
Not
still.
by much.
not by. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, now this next one, From Hell.
Yes.
Once again, if you don't know, hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's Alan Moore, for God's
Right.
sakes.
Well, I knew Moore was writing this. I never read
Yeah.
it. But I knew he was writing it, so that when the film came out, I was intrigued by it because, again, it's the story of Jack the Ripper.
Right.
And Moore had done, there'd been a lot of press on how Moore had spent many years, wanting to write the definitive book on that case and researched it front end, sideways, backwards, so that when he wrote the graphic novel, or the series that became a graphic novel, which the film was based on, people, critics, lauded it heavily for its, again, for that work, that detail that he put into it. So I was anxious to see the film and see how much of that translated over. And the film is extremely well done. And again, it goes back to our earlier conversations of this was, again, when Johnny Depp acted,
Yeah, this
really
is when
well
Johnny
done.
Depp was good,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
Now, just to give you guys another little twist on this, about the authenticity of that research, about 10 years before this film was made, a British company made a Sherlock Holmes movie with Christopher Plummer as Sherlock Holmes, called Murder by Decree.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
All right. If you ever get to see that, pay close attention to the clues and the elements that are played out in that film, because they are very similar to what you see in From Hell. Meaning that the script writers did a really, really amazing job in following along the same path that Moore had done in collecting all this information, and that both of those are two of the biggest proponents of the theory that Jack the Ripper was somebody of royal blood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So.
No, exceptional movie. I can very highly, extremely, not as gory as the comic, obviously, but extremely, gory movie, not for the faint of stomach.
No, not at all.
But yeah, I can definitely say that's a movie worth watching.
Yeah.
Now, I can't say that about the next one, and I have no clue about the comic either. So
Yeah, Oblivion is the next one, and I didn't know it was based on a comic either.
If I were the comic people, I'd be extremely upset that it became a Tom Cruise movie.
Well, it was Radical Comics. They tend to, and I don't think they even do comics anymore. I think they're making this film, but they tended to tailor their comics to certain actors and stuff. So I don't know if they had Tom Cruise in mind or if they had somebody else. But Ron, you like this movie though, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. In fact, I've seen it a couple times. I caught it on cable one Saturday afternoon because several friends of mine had seen it and liked it. I'm not going to say it's the greatest science fiction that I've ever seen, and I think if you pay attention during the films, you can pretty much pick out the plot of what the big surprise is. but it holds together extremely well. And I don't want to get into, if maybe they'd have got a different actor to play the part, it could have been, much better received. But I think Cruise is serviceable in the role, all right? But it's the story I like, guys, okay? It isn't so much this is Tom Cruise vehicle or whatever.
Yeah.
But I like the story. It's a good science fiction story from beginning to end, and it plays fair and it has its own inner logic, so that it's a satisfying film. We see so few science fiction movies anymore, and what happened was this came out the same year that Pacific Rim and After Earth came out, all within months of each other.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, we're like back in the 1950s when flying saucers attacked the Earth and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just have a really hard time seeing Tom Cruise as an action star, and I always have.
Yeah.
He's such a wee man. He's a little tiny guy,
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
but he tries to play like this big action ass kicker sort of guy.
I personally like his movies. So
Well,
I like his comedies. I just don't care for him as an action
I liked
star.
Oblivion, and while we're on that subject, though, I would really give you thumbs up on the latest sci-fi one that he just did, which was out like about a month ago, and now I'm having...
End of something or...
Edge of Tomorrow?
Edge of Tomorrow, yeah.
Edge of Tomorrow. That is classic science fiction, and I recommend it highly. If for no other reason, I give the guy props in that he is not a hero when the movie starts. Okay? In fact, he's a yellow belly, slime sucking PR guy who doesn't want to have anything to do with combat. All right? He's despicable. And you got to watch the movie. It's a great, again, this is good science fiction. And one of the decent things about it is the actual character curve that he goes through in the film. And, of course, it co-stars Emily Blunt, which I don't think can do any wrong these days. I think she's wow.
To your point real quick, John, I actually like him. I like the Mission Impossible movies. I liked him in Jack Reacher. I like him as an action star, too. That's just me. But Oblivion, I liked up until the big reveal, and then it made me mad.
Then it ruined it for you?
It really did. So.
Okay, this is where I got as far as looking at the list. What's next, guys?
All right, A History of Violence.
Yeah, no clue that this was a comic first.
I knew it.
I knew that.
Had you guys seen the comic?
I have not seen the comic.
Yes. The comic is, I'm trying to think who wrote it. It's John, I'm going to say, writer or artist, John Borwell, or am I? But I've read the comic, and the comic is, what's funny is the film is directed by David Cronenberg, a man not known for restraint.
Yeah.
And the movie version is a lot more restrained than the comic version.
Really?
Yes.
It was John.
The comic is very violent, and it's very much. It really is, and just I don't know if you guys know the plot at all, but it really, towards the end, it really does kind of gear down and get really down and dirty.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the one with Viggo Mortensen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that movie.
It was good. I love the concept.
I went to see that with no clue what was going to happen. And, man, one reveal after another. Mm-hmm. I mean, who else is in that? There's a top-notch cast.
It's Maria Bello, Ed Harris.
William Hurt.
Ed Harris. And who plays his brother? William Hurt at the end?
William Hurt is in it.
Yeah. The minute that thing was out on DVD, I scoffed it up. That's a great little noir picture. And if it's more violent in the comic, Gordon, I'm like, whoa, okay, there's a little bit of violence in the film as well. Whew.
Right. Yeah, it was by the comic was by John Wagner and Vince Locke.
Okay. There you go. Okay. Got it.
All right. So next up, and we might at the hour we're getting to, we might stop at 20 and pick this up again.
There you go.
That'd be a good idea.
Right. That'll work.
Yeah, we're at 19 right now, and
especially for this one.
Okay.
What is it?
The comic was so much better.
I know. Alien versus Predator.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's
Oh, the
kind of
video game was better.
Yeah, the video game was even better than the movie. I mean, it's definitely one of those that the concept, even the thought of it, is so much better than the reality of the movie.
I think this one we kind of have to call shenanigans, though, because you're talking about properties that were first filmed, then comic, then film.
Yeah, and
You know?
yeah, so we may need to call shenanigans on this one, because I don't think there was ever quote unquote alien comic back in the day.
These were comics first. They were films first.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess you could argue that Alien versus Predator as a concept was a comic.
Yeah, it was a comic first. Well, I mean, it was always out there in the fanboydom, forever. Someone had to do it eventually.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the movie was pathetic.
Yeah, I didn't.
Could have been so much better.
Right. And number 20, which is where we stop. And
please.
Okay, Men in Black.
Lowell Cunningham, nicest guy in the world, wrote a 3-issue miniseries from Malibu Comics back in the late 1980s.
1890s.
No, excuse me.
Wow, that's a long time.
Hey, guys. Give the gray cells a break here, okay?
I was about to say,
I've been on this terra firma for a while. Anyway,
that was in your youth, wasn't it?
There you go. It was, pretty much. Lowell is one of the nicest guys you ever want to meet in your life. He gets this break. He writes this 3-issue miniseries for Malibu Comics. They put it out, and it bombs. All right? It absolutely bombs. So about a year later, and I know this because I was there at the time. It's now 1990, and I'm going to the San Diego Comic-Con because this is the year after this is the year I started writing the Green Hornet. The Green Hornet had been out. I've been doing Terminator. The Green Hornet had been out for about 3 months, and now it's like, you got to come to San Diego because the fans want us, blah, blah. So I go there, and I run into Lowell. Well, Lowell and I had communicated, and it's the first time we got to meet. And Lowell was there because Malibu had a warehouse of these 3 freaking issues of Men in Black that they had to get rid of. So they come and be a guest at our booth. I'll sell these things, okay? So that's what Lowell's doing. Well, keep in mind, 1990, Hollywood was just starting to figure out what San Diego was all about. And so there were a few producers running around, including this young husband and wife team, who literally came up to the Malibu tables and started looking at what was there. And Lowell was there, and they picked up all 3 issues of Men in Black, talked to Lowell for a while, he autographed the books. And, I mean, they had a stack of comics, according to Lowell. They had like hundreds of comics. And thank you, blah, 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 and off they walked. Well, the idea being they went up to their hotel rooms that night and went through all these comics looking for properties. Well, much to Lowell's surprise, they come back down the next day. They walk up to him and literally option Men in Black from him. Now, he owned it. It was his property. Malibu never, it was creator-owned. So they optioned it for a couple $1,000s or whatever for X number of years. And, okay, thanks, blah, blah, blah. Con's over. Everybody goes home. 2 or 3 years go by. They can't sell it to anybody. They get a hold of Lowell. We'll give you another $3,000, $4,000. Okay. In the meantime, he never gives up the rights. He's just selling the option, all right? Now, true story, guys, this goes on for 10 years. 10 years until they get it to Amblin Studios, again, Spielberg, right? And somebody at Amblin sees one of the film script treatments and buys it. And they get Tommy Lee Jones on board. The minute they get Tommy Lee Jones on board, that's it. It's going to be a film. And, we get this young actor coming out of TV. His name's Will Smith. And, we think maybe this is his vehicle or whatever. And as all of us know, as history turns around, that July 4th weekend, after 10 years, Men in Black comes to the big screen and makes Lowell Cunningham freaking stinking rich. All right? Because there have been now X number of sequels. They did that absolutely phenomenal Saturday comic animated series, which, if you haven't seen, was tons of fun. all right, and blah, blah, blah. But that's one of my all-time favorite feel-good stories of the comic business, because Lowell was this awesome, really great guy. And anytime you ever see a new, I mean, they'll probably be, I mean, they just did another sequel, last year, 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as long as they keep doing them, someplace in there, you'll see, based on the Malibu comic by Lowell County.
Yep.
That is so cool that he kept the rights to it and didn't sell them off. Yeah.
Yeah, he kept the rights. All he did was sold the options, so that he made money off the films. He made money off the toys. He made money off the cartoon series.
That's great.
Yep.
That's awesome. All right, so that's number 20. So we'll stop there and pick it up another week. But that was fun.
It was.
A couple of surprises in there. Oh, I did want to mention something that they did say about Men in Black, since we were talking about that. It's interesting that the comic actually went farther than just aliens. It went into paranormal and supernatural figures like werewolves and zombies and demons and stuff too.
Yeah.
So,
but and if you guys saw the last one, I got to give kudos to what's that actor's name now again? Brolin.
Mm-hmm.
For channeling Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
That was
surprisingly good.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, he's got all his mannerisms.
Yeah. I mean, Sound Alike was incredible, but the fact that he has all his facial tics and stuff, I'm like, whoa!
Yeah.
Who knew Josh Brolin could act?
Oh. Well, now he's getting the biggest role. Well, he's out in Sin City 2. He's out in Sin City 2, and he's going to be, what, Thanos eventually?
Well, he is Thanos.
He already was.
He was, yeah.
Was in Guardians,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah. So, not bad.
All right, so it is that time of the show where we go around the table and see what everybody has coming out, and going on. Gordon, we'll start with you.
Okay. Well, as you heard earlier, August 25th, we'll be doing the Doctor Who live screenings. Come by, say hi to me. Afterwards, you can buy me a beer or adult beverage. I don't care. Also, be sure to order Tall Pope from Pro Se Productions. I have a short story called Crossing McCausland. It's characters from American folklore in pulp situations. Trust me, you'll like it. And other than that, I've got some other writing projects that I'm hoping to be published in the next few months, and a story I'm working on that needs to be submitted in the next week. And I just had another story approved, so I need to start working on that. So, and I have a freelance client. So, yay, I'll have some actual money coming in for work. So, go me.
Hey.
Congrats.
Money, always a good thing.
Definitely. All right, Ron.
Okay, just a couple of announcements on Mr. Jigsaw, which I'm really happy about, which all happened this past week. I mentioned the fact that a color Mr. Jigsaw story was going to be appearing shortly. It is now available in a magazine called Charlton Arrow, #2, put out by a guy named Mort Todd from Maine. And it's a homage kind of comic magazine to the old Charlton comic book company that existed in Derby City, New Jersey. Connecticut, excuse me. Derby City, Connecticut. And that's where Mr. Jigsaw got his start anyways, where he made his first appearance in Scary Tales #38. So Mort's, doing all these great comic projects, and artist Gary Carter and myself volunteered to do a new 6-page Mr. Jigsaw story, which Mort colored to perfection. It looks absolutely awesome. That magazine just came out this week. It's available at indieplanet.com. I've sent Grant the links to it and the cover. It's a ball to see Mr. Jigsaw in full color again. And speaking of Mr. Jigsaw, every time that we do 3 issues of the regular book, we then collect them and release them via Amazon in a series we call The Adventures of Mr. Jigsaw. And The third volume of that series just came out this week and is now available at Amazon. It's The Adventures of Mr. Jigsaw Volume 3. It contains the regular issues 7, 8, and 9, plus a 6-page new bonus Mr. Jigsaw story, which is a special tribute to the 1950s pinup artist Gil Elfgren, wherein Mr. Jigsaw mentally imagines the girls in his life as Elfgren pinup girls. And a cartoonist who's worked for DC, Brian Bruniak, he did The Angel and the Ape for them at one time.
Yeah, I love that series.
Gifted cartoonist. He did these pinup pieces, and they mimic the Elfgren girl style. So that's a bonus feature, and that's available from Amazon. And again, Brant has a cover representation and the link to it. So lots of good Mr. Jigsaw stuff out there right now, guys.
Awesome. Always good to hear that. All right, John?
Well, it's been an interesting week for me as far as work goes. I finished page 12 of the 12-pager that is going to be in the Steampunk Originals comic called Bound for Pangea, also occasionally called Steam Teen. Finished the pencils and inks on this 12-pager, and then I just found out it has to be colored. So...
Thanks for letting us know, guys.
Yeah. So that's going to take a couple of days. And then Brant has thankfully agreed to letter it for me. So yeah, we'll see if I can manage to make deadline or not. I'm not sure how that's going to happen. I also am still doing the children's book for a teacher friend of mine about the plants and animals in her backyard. However, she comes to me today and is now talking about making it an animated thing. I don't animate.
Right.
At least not yet. So, I am making storyboards for it though, so we'll see how that goes. Okay. I'm not quite sure how that's going to figure out, but yeah.
Microsoft has got to come out with this do-it-yourself animation program.
I'm telling you, they really do. Because I've got all the characters, designed and sketches, and she loves all the concepts and everything, but she got it in her head to animate because she really likes writing scripts. Now, because she's been submitting TV scripts, so I'm like, well, that could be interesting, but we'll have to talk about that because I don't animate. So, and I'm not sure that she knows that it actually takes anywhere from 10 to 50 people to animate a cartoon.
It's a studio.
A studio,
right?
Which there aren't a lot of those around here. Yeah. So, so we'll see how that goes. Then as far as my personal stuff, after I get finished coloring this 12-pager now, I'm going to get ready to start the redesign on the Woman in Red character. Not going to tweak it too much. It's an old pulp character who relies on disguises to help her solve the mysteries that she manages to get herself into. So kind of a, I don't know, Ron, who would you equate her to maybe as a male pulp character that's primarily deals with disguises?
Well, there are several, but I mean, the most obvious would be like Secret Agent X.
Yeah,
because
that's
the whole concept was you never saw him coming. That was the tagline. Because nobody ever saw his face. There was like maybe one person in the entire canon that was his immediate superior, but he was the man of 1,000 faces, and he could change his face in like 5 minutes. He always carried this little hidden makeup kit on him,
right?
And he learned the art of disguise and mimicry and acting, And so what you described sounds pretty much the same thing. She's literally a female chameleon.
Yes, pretty much. She's, she, as with that, and the only thing I could think of, which is a much more current thing, would be Human Target.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
The Christopher Chance character. But yeah, the idea is she's very much a quick change person. She's very much can kind of bury herself in a role. And you don't know it's not the person who you think it is until the obvious reveal.
Right.
Once the mystery is solved. So, I'm not going to do any big changes on the character, other than, actually, I probably won't do any major changes other than just slightly modernize the look,
Right. It's one of the things I tell a lot of our writers who come to us and want to work at Airship 27 on classic pulp characters. And one of my advices to them is, well, don't change the basic setup. And when our stuff, we try to keep it in the 30s and do those adventures. But one of the things I tell my writers is, you can keep the same setup, whatever their talents, skills, or whatever are, just enhance them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just make it even larger than life, because that's what pulp's about anyway. So, make it larger than life, enhance it, make it even, more dramatic, more powerful, more suspenseful,
Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to convey, and I might make it a period piece too, because I kind of like period pieces as well. Speaking of which, now that I have finished this 12-pager, I originally wrote this character is kind of a offshoot of a story I originally wrote years ago about a couple. They're royalty, but they're very bohemian kind of people, and they love mysteries and murder and things like that. Very much a Nick and Nora Charles, Heart to Heart, the TV show. Yep. If you need some basis there. Lord and Lady Ravenscroft are the names of the characters, and I had written the 22-page first issue and then plotted out the next 5,
which was awesome, by the way, John.
Oh, thank you very much.
I really like that a lot.
And I finally decided, for years I tried to find someone to draw it for me, with no success. So I finally decided just to go ahead and do it myself.
Here you go.
After all this time, so I'm going to start on that. And I'm going to be much slower drawing that than I did this 12-pager because, I have no deadline. But, that will also allow me to, really throw whatever meager talents I have into each page, So I'm kind of looking forward to doing that, soon. And beyond that, I've also kind of decided my 2 children's stories that I'm just going to do those myself. So I've kind of given myself a lot of work. Sadly, I'm not paying myself to do this work. So
you're a cruel taskmaster.
I am. I am so mean to me,
yes.
And I make me work so hard, and I give me no recompensation for it.
Wow.
I will
should
occasionally
sue yourself, I think.
I know. I will occasionally allow myself to go to the bathroom or get a drink, but other than that, I am the Ebenezer Scrooge to my own Tom Cratchit here, or Bob Cratchit. I messed up. Okay, yeah. Other than all that foolishness, I'm every day on Comic Related, making it the best damn comic news site on the planet with my 2 colleagues, of course. So, check us out every day, because there's new stuff every bloody day.
There is.
There is brand new content every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and later Eastern Standard Time. So you should check it out because God knows we work hard on it.
Indeed.
And you actually do research. You would never say, for example, isn't it surprising that nobody knows that The Rocketeer is based on a comic?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, wait, we had to pull that story. Darn.
That's okay. It's scheduled for tomorrow. We got time.
Yeah, we have time. Woo! And, that's about it for me. I think that's plenty.
All right. All right, not much for me. Henchman 2, issue number 2, Henchman Inc., I should say, is the official name. Issue number 2 is nearing completion. All the pages are penciled and inked. Some are flatted, and I'm working on the rest of the flatting. Coloring is beginning, and lettering will be soon. So we're targeting delivering it to Monkey Brain in the next week and a half. So hopefully soon after that it will be out, so everybody can read it. Really excited about that. Because the first issue was really well received, got tons of great reviews, and we greatly appreciate that. So, beyond that, just the normal stuff. Hoping to get the New Comic Day website back up before the next update next week. So, hopefully with a brand new look as well. I'm working on some things. This week's strip was a one-panel tribute to Robin Williams. So go check that out on New Comic Day's Facebook page. Still working on Superhuman Resources on a book that Ron knows well. I am working on it, Ron. Don't worry.
Yay! Which is a good reminder. I have to get a hold of Mike Dorman, find out where he's at with the second, because he is drawing the second one now. He should be pretty well into completing that.
Yeah. Cool.
So. Yeah,
awesome. So this weekend, you'll have an update on that. So
excellent.
All right, and let's see. Is there anything else I need to talk about? I don't think so this week. So just really short, and I'll reiterate: comicrelated.com and comicfrontline.com and the YouTube channel. You can catch me on the live show most Tuesday nights over there. So there you go. All right. So who wants to read us out this week? Any volunteers?
I'll do it.
All right. Go for it, Ron.
Yeah. Hey, we'd like to thank the official bands of Zone 4, the Ray Wall Band, Society's Plague, that you hear on the show each and every week. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions for us, especially about the big 300th episode, you have any ideas about, send them our way. Please send them to Zone4 at comicrelated.com. We are also a proud member of the Comic Related Podcast Network. And as always, thanks for listening. You are now leaving Zone 4.
But before you do, because I forgot, next week, just got confirmation as we were recording this episode, next week Dirk Manning will be on...
Yay! Good old Dirk!
Talking about this project, so be sure to tune in for that.
All right. And you still won't be able to see his whole face.
That's right.
Or any of it, actually, because this is an audio program.
Exactly. Good night, everybody.
Good night, all.
Good night, all.
We are Groot.
On the streets of New York City, he steps out to make a stand. He's Spider-Man.
Are you wearing the bikini again, John?
I'm wearing the bikini. I always wear the bikini when I podcast now.
That's true, yeah.
Oh, I just ate, guys. I may have to go off for a moment.
Oh, that's the visual to get us started.
Let that ruminate in your brain for a few minutes. Let that cook for a while.
I'll bring
You're
it up.
stalking people, John. That's just not cool.
It's not stalking. It's called headhunting. Say what you want about Game of Thrones and Doctor Who, but if you want to talk smack about the Will Wheaton project, we're going to have to fight.
And all for.
I've never seen the Will Wheaton project, so
No, it's. Have you ever seen Talk Soup or?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same show but about sci-fi.
Okay.
It's the exact same show but about sci-fi.
I caught like 5 minutes of it one night, and I whacked my ass off. I thought it was very fun.
Yo, it's fun. Yeah, it's fun. It's just it's not.
Well, they do skits. He's got other people working with him. They do skits and stuff. And that's cool.
It's cute. Let's put that.
I actually like Will Wheaton. I didn't like him
Oh
on
no,
Star
I like
Trek.
Will Wheaton a lot. Yeah.
I didn't like him on Star Trek, but I like him now.
I didn't like him in the later years on Star Trek. Young Will Wheaton I was okay with. The older Will Wheaton was kind of a annoying person.
He owns his annoying personality.
Oh yeah, he owns his
That's
annoying.
the
Yeah.
thing.
Well, that's okay. He got his head bitten off in Sharknado too. So
There you go. I haven't seen it, but okay.
It's only like 5 seconds. He's on a plane and there goes his head.
He'll cameo anywhere, won't he?
Yes, he will. He'll show up for a letter opening.
All right.
Well, he's got to pay his WordPress hosting bill somehow.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, he's got to pay for tabletop somehow.
Yeah, I was about to say, those Geek and Sundry bills don't pay themselves after all.
Mm-hmm. All right. That's totally going in the outtakes, all that.
There we go.
All right, now you do 40 movies in 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Let's go.
40 seconds. Yeah, let's go. Somehow, I think we're going to fail.
This has been a Gonzo Goose production.